Chemistry. It is the study of what? Anyone? Chemistry is, well, technically, chemistry is the study of matter. But I prefer to see it as the study of change. Well, that's all of life, right? I mean, it's the constant, it's the cycle. It is growth, then decay, then transformation. It is fascinating, really.
I've always had a soft spot for TV, but accepted it for what it was, if that makes sense. It was a distraction, something you did when you didn't have anything else to do. And there were a lot of shows that were great for that. There was never a sense that you were witnessing high art or that you needed to tune in to watch every single episode of your favorite show. I didn't expect much other than to be distracted and hopefully entertained. I wanted to sit down in front of it, have the moving pictures work their magic and take me out of my head for the next 30 minutes to an hour. I grew up with it, I often found myself sucked into it, but could also take it or leave it. Then Breaking Bad sort of snuck up on me at a time where I was looking for something to get into, and ever since then I've consistently been watching something. It changed the way I interacted with TV, and well, here we are. Everyone knows what Breaking Bad is, even if they haven't seen it. The cultural influence it has now makes it hard to believe that not that many people were watching the first couple seasons as they aired. Other than Bryan Cranston winning Emmys, there wasn't that much buzz about it. I discovered it, got caught up, and was invested by the time Season 3 came out, and was really surprised to find people at work who had watched the Season 4 premiere. After it became available on Netflix, its profile hit new heights, and that was the first show I remember that happening to. And by the time Season 5 was on, everyone was watching and had an opinion on how it might end. So what about you? How did you get into Breaking Bad?
I was one of those Netflix latecomers. Many of my friends and colleagues were raving about it, and when it hit Netflix, I decided to check it out and got sucked into my first ever binge-watching experience. I didn't move from the couch for what felt like weeks. I'm exaggerating, of course, though not by much. Around 1 or 2 a.m. each night, my partner was like, "We have to go to bed." And after the show ended, we watched it again almost immediately. I got to be with Better Call Saul from the beginning, and it has been interesting to reflect on how different the experiences have been. Not just because they're different shows, but the difference in the viewing experience. Binge watching versus having to wait a week in between episodes or months in between seasons, and as was the case with the final season of Saul, years. And with the conclusion of Better Call Saul in August of 2022, we now have more answers and deeper insights into the world and characters. Breaking Bad informed much of how I viewed Better Call Saul and El Camino. And not that anyone needs an excuse to rewatch what is arguably one of the best shows ever made, but I look forward to watching Breaking Bad again now that we have a full universe of characters and stories to recontextualize it.
It was the right show at the right time, and it influences so much of what we see on TV today. It didn't really reinvent the wheel as much as it played to the strengths that already existed in the medium, and made what I think was a very smart choice to focus on the main character's transformation over the entire series, rather than being a show that kept one foot in the episodic format, such as wildly popular ones like The X-Files, which is where creator Vince Gilligan got his start. I'm Pete, and I'm joined by my non-acidic co-host Courtney.
Hello.
And we're here today to introduce you to our new podcast, Growth Decay Transformation, a Breaking Bad rewatch podcast. Why does this need to exist, and why are we doing this right now? The 15th anniversary of the pilot just passed, and that feels like enough time to go back and revisit the series and have a new experience. And when you dig into the history of how it came into existence, there are so many interesting occurrences where if things had just broken a different way, this might have been a completely different show.
One of my favorite Vince Gilligan quotes is about how coincidences are lazy writing unless they are bad for the characters. But everything aligned perfectly for the show to be created how and when it was, from the timing to the writer's strike to the rise of Netflix. And its legacy is something I imagine we will be talking about for a long time, and something I look forward to exploring more on this podcast. It was fortuitous that we were both on YouTube talking about Better Call Saul at the same time and got to meet because of our shared love for this world.
And for those of you who don't know us, I'm Pete Peppers. I have a YouTube channel of the same name where I make TV-related videos. Those are mostly weekly episode recaps for current shows as they air. I've been doing that for a while, and I'll continue to do that because it's something I like to do. But I've also wanted to dig a little deeper, have conversations about some of these shows. I probably wouldn't be doing any of this if I hadn't come across Breaking Bad when I did, and it didn't have such a huge impact on my hot and cold love affair with TV.
And I'm Courtney. I also have a YouTube channel, Courtney's Reviews, that I created to discuss Better Call Saul. I love shows like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul because not only are they fun to watch, but they have huge payoffs and reward viewers for investing their time. I missed out on getting to discuss every episode of Breaking Bad when it first aired, analyzing every little aspect of it around the water cooler, trying to guess what would happen next. But I did get to do that with Saul, and that was a very engaging and, in my case, social experience. I very much look forward to revisiting Breaking Bad now and discussing each episode with you, Pete, and all of you listeners out there. It's one of those shows that, like any great film or book, deserves to be talked about and revisited. And that's why we've decided to start this podcast.
This will be a full spoilers podcast, meaning it won't be for first-time viewers. Aaron and Jim have a complete Breaking Bad podcast called Breaking Good on this network that you can check out if you're watching for the first time. There will also be spoilers for everything in the Breaking Bad universe, so if you haven't seen Better Call Saul or El Camino, you should go watch those before listening.
We will be discussing each episode in order, but as this is a retrospective rewatch, we will likely discuss things that happen in later episodes and in Better Call Saul and El Camino. Like Chuck McGill's copy of The Time Machine sitting on Jimmy's bedside table, this is your warning that our conversations will at times be nonlinear and travel back and forth across time in the Breaking Bad universe.
We invite you to join us as we retrace the growth, decay, and transformation in Breaking Bad. This will not only be a nostalgic look back and rediscovery of what made it so great, but discovery of new things that continue to make it relevant today.
You're a goddamn artist. This is art, Mr. White.
Actually, it's just basic chemistry, but thank you, Jesse. I'm glad it's acceptable.
Acceptable. You're the goddamn Iron Chef. Every jibhead from here to Timbuktu is gonna want to taste.
Where can potential listeners find us?
You can contact us at breakingbadgdt@gmail.com. That's GDT as in Growth Decay Transformation. And you can follow us on Twitter at breakingbadgdt for updates. You can find our podcast, Growth Decay Transformation, on baldmove.com or anywhere you find your favorite podcasts.